Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thanks for coming back to get hit with the truth. I'm starting a new segment. It's called A History Lesson. And I'm going to look at fights, major fights that took place, from the past. And just kind of what were the fighters doing going into the fight. And the fight itself and the impact that it's had all these years later or not. But I figured who's the best guy to start with, and that's Floyd Mayweather. Now, before I get into the details on it, guys, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I get. I'm really trying to do something good here and just get some info out. And I would like, some love if you could show it to me to help grow my page. But hey, if you don't like what I'm doing, thumbs down. Negative comment, whatever. I want you to be real with me because that's what it is. That's why it's called True Boxing. But anyways, so a history lesson. It's starting with the Mayweather versus Castillo fight. I decided to go back, look at some major Mayweather fights, and break them all down and just discuss the fights themselves, my opinions on them, my opinion at the time, all that good stuff. And kind of just break it down. Fights that made a difference, that were impactful, whether it's at the time or all these years later. And I decided to start with the Castillo fight. All the stuff he did before that was great. You know, Mayweather was a two-division champion already. Running into this fight, he had won belts at 126 and 130. And Jose Luis Castillo was a set veteran at the time. And I believe he had already been a world champion, I think. Don't hold me to that. But this fight going in, people knew it was tough. Mayweather was coming off of his win over Jesus Chavez, who was a tough Mexican fighter. He had defeated him and was trying to continue to build on, his legacy and becoming the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. He was undefeated. And, this fight, I remember that day, I had went to my cousin's kid's birthday party, so basically my little cousin, and I remember wanting to come home and watch the fight, and I did that. But this fight, Mayweather at the time, he was an exciting guy. I've been watching Mayweather since he first came out, since he first got big, and this was around the time when those couple years where I really started to get into every division in boxing. That grew into what I'm doing now. This was still around that time because I'm a pro heavyweight guy. I started with the Tyson era. The 90s heavyweights were great, and it rolled into the 2000s. But, I knew the other big fights in the divisions that were going on, but this is when I really started to dive into it all. And Mayweather, again, was a good guy. He's a guy that I left a party one night to go watch Floyd Mayweather fight because he was such a big name when I was a senior in high school. So there was a lot riding on this fight for Mayweather. He was fighting for the WBC Lightweight Championship at 135. He was trying to become a three-division world champ, going in against the veteran Castillo. And the thing is, I really did, guys. I liked Floyd Mayweather at the time. My overall opinion of him now, yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like what he's done for the sport. You're going to hear me say that multiple times over. But he is infamous and very popular, whether you love him or hate him. And but back then, he was a very likable guy, and I really did enjoy him. I was a fan of his. And Castillo, I really didn't know much about Jose Luis Castillo. I'm not going to lie. So I had no stake in the game. I really didn't. And I'm sorry, but I went back and looked at the scores again. Jose Luis Castillo got fucking robbed in this fight. He did. I watched that fight from start to finish. Castillo should have won about 8 rounds. He outlanded, you go look at the numbers, he outpunched and he outlanded Mayweather in that fight. He landed the power punches. Mayweather led in jabs, but he outlanded and outworked them in power punches. Both of them got points deducted in this fight. And the judges had it 116, or I believe 2 judges had it 115, 111. That means they gave Mayweather 8 rounds apiece, and the other judge, I believe, had it like 116, 111, or something like that. But that was fucking ridiculous. It really was. And Jose Luis Castillo got robbed. I mean, I do not like using the term robbed unless it was, you know, it's overwhelming that the other guy should have won the fight. And I'm sorry, I watched this fight, and I was a fan of Mayweather. Jose Luis Castillo got robbed in this fight. He really did. So for you Mayweather fans don't want to hear this, but this is the truth. The reason there was a rematch is because everybody said Castillo got robbed in this fight. They did. So Mayweather didn't do rematches very often. What did he have? 2? He fought Castillo again, and he fought Maidana again. And at least the Maidana fight you could have called either way. This one was flat out should have went to Castillo. Castillo got robbed. Plain and simple, guys. I'm sorry to burst any of the Mayweather fans' bubble, but Mayweather does not deserve to be undefeated at 50-0 because I'll be honest with you guys, this was also the only fight that I ever thought he legitimately lost. I did not think De La Hoya beat him. It was close, but I didn't think De La Hoya beat him. The first fight with Maidana was close, but I thought Floyd won that fight too. I never thought Mayweather lost another fight except for this fight with Castillo. So yes, I'm telling you guys that was a robbery. It really was. And the undefeated thing shouldn't be there. But you can argue 2 things. And people want to call these excuses. I call them factors. They're reasoning. Why should he have gotten, I think he was overlooking Castillo. That's one. And hey, that happens a lot. And the other thing was, Mayweather, this was his first fight at 135. Maybe he's getting adjusted to the weight. So, whatever it may be, that night, Jose Luis Castillo got robbed. But the rematch, there was no doubt. They fought 8 months later in 2002, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. absolutely dominated Jose Luis Castillo in the rematch. No question, he's the overall better man. Absolutely. He won that second fight with ease and dominated, picked them apart, counterpunched. It was a very, very strong performance out of Mayweather in the rematch. Held on to the WBC belt. But I wanted to start with this video because it's a forgotten fight, especially by Mayweather fans. Mayweather fans will tell you, oh, stop crying. There's no crying here. I'm giving you the facts. That I was a Mayweather fan at the time, and I did not know Jose Luis Castillo. And you can ask any of my friends, anybody that knows me, it's not a race thing for me. I could care less about that. Most of my favorite fighters have been black, African-American fighters, but I've rooted for Puerto Ricans over Mexicans. Yes, I've had favorite Mexican fighters, but it's not because they're Mexican. I'm American first. That's the way I look at it. And you know, I pull for who I like as a fighter. And I was a big fan of Mayweather at this time. And I did not really know Jose Luis Castillo. But Jose Luis Castillo won this fight. He should have won this fight. And that really changes the dynamic of Mayweather's prestige. Even though Mayweather went and beat him in the rematch. So like with Lennox Lewis, when Michael Buffer used to announce Lennox Lewis after Lewis had avenged both of his losses and the draw to Holyfield, you know, he's Michael Buffer used to say he has defeated every man he's ever faced. So Mayweather would have had that too, but he should have had that one blemish on his record. He should have. And it's disappointing that they got it wrong that night, especially now, because people could really look at that and go, yeah, but you did lose a fight, Floyd. And he should have. And, you know, Castillo got robbed. That would have really, would have transferred through time for Castillo way better if he would have got the nod that night. But he still went on to do great things. I still think Castillo and Corrales, their first fight is the greatest fight I've ever seen. And, you know, it was just fantastic. He's had some good wins, and he was in there with some big fighters, made a lot of money. So that's it. That's what I